Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. So, we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite people, one of the most likable people I've really ever come across, Diana Tarausi, and some of the things she said in a press conference the other day when I guess questions have come up about when is she going to retire and maybe even should she be on this Olympic team and things like that. So we're going to listen. This is almost a minute long. It's about 58 seconds. We're going to listen to this little bit here. The end is the money quote, and it's actually written right above this video here. But I want you to be surprised. We'll we'll get to that and talk a little more about it. So let's dig into this.
I'm around a lot of young people all the time, and I tell them if there's one thing you can't escape in this country or in this world, it's ageism. As I look around here, you know, I've gone back and forth with this answer, with these feelings about.
Okay, first, because I do want to point it out before I forget, when she made that comment about one thing you always going to deal with is ageism, and in a she has a point in general, but we're talking about athletics, which is for younger people. Athletes have finite careers. They have a certain amount of time where they're at their peak physically and can compete at the highest level. It is not about ageism. Ageism is denying a 55-year-old a job for which they're very qualified simply because you want somebody younger. I mean, when they still have plenty of good years left to give to that job, because we're not talking about world class athletes who, in some sports, are done by the time they're 30. Look at Simone Biles. I mean, people are shocked that she's at another Olympics because there's one sport where it's very much for younger athletes. So she's a little disingenuous there already, but let's keep going.
This question, when you dedicate your whole life, your whole career to something, and you get the question of, why don't you just retire? It is a bit disrespectful, and I'm here to compete. I'm here to play at a high level. I'm here to give to my teammates.
Okay, first of all, it's not disrespectful. It's normal. I can see how, yes, it might bother you, but it happens to all athletes who have had long careers and are past their prime. Whether it's, I mean, most recently Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers has been getting it for a while, Brett Favre to talk about quarterbacks. LeBron James has been getting it for a few years as well. So that's just the way it is. That's just part of being an athlete.
And I'm here to win a gold medal. That's it. I don't care about the last 20 years. I'm worried about the next 20 years. Only a woman would have 20 years of experience, and it's an Achilles heel instead of something that is treasured and used as a way forward for our sport and for women. So hopefully we can change that narrative.
Wow. Okay, that's the money quote. Here's where we're going to go off because this is what is absolutely so unlikable about not only Diana Taurasi but the WNBA in general. Let's dig into this. Only a woman could have 20 years of experience, and it's an Achilles heel instead of something that is treasured. Diana Taurasi when asked about retirement ahead of her competing for a sixth straight Olympic gold medal. Here we go with the narcissistic victim playing nonsense again. This is not an office job. This is not vice president of operations. This is professional basketball. And as I just said, this is normal and happens with the men all the time when athletes hit certain ages, especially if they're having a noticeable decline in their performance. I just gave you some names, but it happens to all of them. I mean, a huge favorite of my dad's on going way back on the Phillies was Steve Carlton, the pitcher who many thought played, a number of years longer. And it was just at the point where it's like, he's got to retire and he's got to retire. And he went and played elsewhere because he wanted to keep pitching, even though he wasn't the same pitcher he was. Mike Schmidt. I just mentioned quarterbacks like Tom Brady. You're getting it with Aaron Rodgers. This is normal for sports because, again, we're talking about sports. We're not talking about some executive position at a company where if you're 42, you're in your prime. And by the way, Diana Tarausi, someone who's 42 and good at their job and has 20 years of experience, they are valued, man or woman. Man or woman. And this is why the WNBA struggles. And look, this is the Phoenix Mercury account. Okay, well, it's not the real account, but still, Phoenix Mercury fan account that thought this would be a good idea, that this is a positive thing to put out there. And as you can see, always looking for a way to play the victim. Sorry, this is just untrue and self serving. With few exceptions, every athlete, man or woman, who's been playing for 20 years has asked that. What a narcissist. Right. Why ain't they asking old LeBron the same question? Now, I don't know if this person is being sarcastic because LeBron has been getting asked that question for years. I assume they're being sarcastic. I'm young, but old enough to remember when it was hard, cool, tough, to not make excuses. Oh, she's such a victim of sexism, giving Klay Thompson, I'm guessing the next word was vibes, but uh, this is the only delusional person on here. Professional victims. Several examples show otherwise. She's having an emotional response, realizing this is her last run. I'm curious how young women, talented players looking for jobs view this as they complain about few opportunities because lack of experience. How long should they have to wait? Someone asking about bringing Cece to Phoenix. Are we going to act like an aging athlete can't be asked how much longer? Come on, you're not a victim here. I don't know where you get spoken like a champion. It's spoken like anything but a champion. Oh, and here you go. Look, Tom Brady and Brett Favre were two male quarterbacks that people were saying needed to retire while they still wanted to play. This isn't a woman thing, but it's always easy for them to use that angle, which goes to my point. See, she knows that if she frames it that way, she's going to get the reaction she wants where the media is going to be helpful to her and she's able to change the narrative on her and her career because there is no narrative about, oh, only a woman could have 20 years of experience and it's an Achilles heel instead of something that's treasured, because that has nothing to do with this. This is about an athlete, and the men get treated the same way, who has long past her prime, 42 as a professional basketball player. She probably could have started getting these questions at 35. And again, not just her, but lots of players. So this is what turns people away. This is why you don't have enough fans. It's this, because this is not an isolated incident. We know for this just happens to be Diana Taurasi just saying this. I did a video, it might even be like a month ago now, that I'm sure many of you saw, where I went through a number of video clips like this that just showed that these WNBA players are just very, very unlikable. They have no idea how to deal with the media. They have no understanding of how to deal with fans, and they just come across very unlikable. And guess what? People have lots of options. They're very busy, and then on top of that, they have lots of options for their leisure time and their entertainment time. They don't need to spend their hard-earned money on you. You need to give them a reason to do so. And when they see that you don't care, that you're not grateful, that you're unlikable, why are they going to spend time watching WNBA games? I don't get it. And oh, just out of curiosity, to add to the end of this, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'm sure everybody has a lot of things to say on that topic because if you paid attention at all, just even if you didn't pay attention to the WNBA before this, you've probably gotten your fill of things Diana Taurasi has said and how she's come across, whether it was the reality is coming stuff. And by the way, for me, it wasn't just that. If you go back, that whole tournament, because they had her and Sue Bird on doing stuff, that whole tournament, she kind of had that attitude. And then there was the other clip right before the Phoenix Mercury game and Caitlin Clark was asked about playing Diana Taurasi, and of course she was very respectful and looking forward to it and all those nice things. And then Diana Taurasi was asked about it, and she looked away from the reporter asking, looked away from the camera, and just said, "Yeah, it'll be fun," and that was it. Move on to the next question. So yeah, it's just crazy. But I also saw, in other videos, people always referring to as her as the goat, as if it just is, and there is no debate. And just out of curiosity, going to her page, I went here and I brought up literally the first two names that came to my head for women's basketball: Candace Parker and Tamika Catchings. And I look at Taurasi in career: 19 points, 3.9 rebounds, 4.2 assists, pretty solid shooter. Candace Parker had a pretty good career, long career too. 16 points, 8.5 rebounds, 4 assists, pretty good shooter. And if you want to get into the complicated advanced metrics some like to use for rookie of the year, PER is 24.4 for Candace, which is higher than Taurasi's. The win share, Taurasi is 73.8 to 64.3, but she's played 140 more games. And then you have Tamika Catchings, another one with a pretty long career, not as long as Taurasi's, obviously, but 16.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, solid shooter. PER also higher than Taurasi's, and even in almost 100 fewer games, her win share is much higher than Taurasi's. Then we go down to this, and we'll just glance through the awards and stuff. She got Rookie of the Year, and she got one MVP. And then she had a number of years early. She was in a lot of MVP top tens earlier in her career. Not recently, but even up to 6 years ago. But that's it for her. Candace Parker, MVP and Rookie of the Year, and fourth in Defensive Player of the Year. As you can see, most of her career also mostly top five. I mean, this is a top seven, this is a 12, but then two, she won it here, so that was her second win. 4, 5, 5, 3, 4, 3, then 9, and then 5. Also, Defensive Player of the Year here, fourth for the Defensive Player of the Year, third for the Defensive Player of the Year, second and fourth for the Defensive Player of the Year. Tamika Catchings, look at all this. MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Defensive Player of the Year, she finished second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. MVP is finished third, second, fifth, third, fifth, fourth, then 15th, a little off year there. Second, won it. Third, seventh, all defensive second team, all defensive first team. Obviously, with the Defensive Player of the Year, she's did that a lot, actually. Defensive first team, and so on and so forth. And those are just two of the names that off the top of my head. And I'm looking at the stats, and without going deeper, you could say toss up, but you could also either give it to Parker or Tamika. In fact, looking at all these, I'm leaning towards Tamika when I look at where she finished and everything with MVP, and then also the Defensive Player of the Year stuff. Holy cow! And like I said, she crushes Diana in the advanced stats that people like, even though she played fewer games, because that's a game playing thing. So yeah, I don't know. And then one thing that stood out, I'd never seen this before. This really bothers me. She actually abandoned her Phoenix team for 2015 because her Russian Premier League team paid her not to play in the WNBA that year. That is fascinating. I did not know that. Looking at all her stats before, that never, just for some reason, never popped out to me. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on, especially the main thing on her comments here of the whole sexism route that she decided to take because people are curious as to when the 42-year-old's going to retire. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.